Welcome to Rom Wills, Money Matters. There needs to be a focus on black businesses. I'm going to tell you what, this is very important. This is a very important thing. Now, I know I've talked about businesses before, and I've touched on like black-owned businesses and everything. But in these coming times, there needs to be even more of a focus, especially when you have black people in general, black men in particular, at the bottom of the economic totem pole in terms of what jobs they getting and everything else. But my thing has always been, hey, just form businesses. That's why even in my book, Nice Guys and Players, I said every man should have a business, even if he don't really need it to make money, something under his control. But we really need that in the black community because if you really look at everything is stemming around economics. Everything is stemming around economics. If we're talking about prejudice and, racism and stuff like that, it manifests more in hiring practices and how you treat it on the job and everything. It manifests more there in loan applications and everything. Oh, yeah, I need to do one in the future about black banks. Now, I know some people will say, well, is that racist or reverse racism? How? Every single group creates businesses, every single group. And plus, for anybody who would have an issue, even with black people, it's like, well, hold up. We saying create something and we don't have to ask for anything. Do for self. It's just that simple. Because as a group, we have to understand we can't be up here asking people to take care of us. Seriously, let me say it again. We can't ask people. We can't beg someone for a job. They don't have no one has an obligation to give you a job. Or if they can't see your service or you feel like they discriminate, and it's like, okay, work for a black-owned firm. But in order to get there, they needs not just the support, and I'm gonna get more into that support thing in the next podcast. But not just the support, but the creation. Because let's be real. There's plenty of people, black people, who will support a black-owned business if they're familiar with it. And quite frankly, there are plenty of white people and Asian people, Hispanic people, Native American people who will support a black business. I'm going to get into that in the next thing because it's not about who owns it. It's about what service is being provided. What service is being provided, what product is being provided. Because let's be real, a lot of times people go into business, they might not want to have the person living next door to them. When people go to a Korean-owned cleaners, rest assured, a lot of people go in there probably would not want that Korean family in their neighborhood. Or when they go into an Indian restaurant, they might not want that Indian family in their neighborhood. Or if they go into a Jamaican thing, because honestly, some people will say, well, that's a black-owned business, but then somebody say, well, it's not an American black-owned business. So we'll just say a Jamaican business to get something. They might not want that Jamaican in their neighborhood, but they want the food. They want the business services. But you have to create those services. There need to be a creation on it. And not just a creation. Because here's an important factor that's not talked about. People will say support black business. Then that black business has an obligation to provide great service. An obligation. And I mean legitimate great service because there are some individuals, and ironically some black individuals, because I remember it was a pundit, Tony Brown. He said the greatest boycott of black businesses have come from other blacks and stuff. But you get a situation where people will ask the black business for extra. It's like, oh, can I get the hookup and everything? I always had talked about that dude who owned 3 buffalo wing restaurants. People would come to him and ask him for like a sample and all of that. And he was like, y'all go to Popeyes asking for a sample? He said it just like that. And he needed to, or the hookup or something like that. But then when the business go out, they like, oh, where's the business? Knowing the same people wouldn't go to the other folks like that. Yeah, don't get me started on that. But overall, there needs to be a focus on not just developing the business, but doing a great job. Doing a great job. And indeed, let's be honest. It probably has to top some bullshit some other people putting out. Because we know how people are. Let's just be real. Like Tony Brown has said. And if it wasn't Tony Brown who said that, please correct me. But it was said, the greatest boycott comes from other blacks. And then, like I said, I'll talk about some more about that in the next episode about who's supporting some of these businesses, right? But it still needs to be a focus because look at everything going on. Look at everything that's going on. A lot of stuff's becoming automated. A lot of stuff, even fast food restaurants. Now that's always a good business anyway, as I'm gonna point out in the next episode. But they becoming increasingly automated. Grocery stores, which I'm going to talk about next, are becoming more and more self-checkout lines. You don't need, and in fact, even where I live, and it's not a predominantly black area, but in fact, I can't think of any of the grocery stores, and we got a ton of them. People around here do be supporting it. I can't recall the last time I saw all the checkout lines open. It's typically 1 or 2 lines open at any given time. On a real busy time, 5 or 6 lines, but it's never a full thing. I can't recall the last time I seen it in anything. But my point is, many of the jobs are disappearing. You don't need the same amount of people, even with people talking about raising the minimum wage. Okay, but if say they give people say, hey, we're going to start you at $20 an hour. Before, they might have had 3 people working out. They'll get 1 person and just have them doing more. So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So one of the things we got to do, okay, the jobs that are there ain't hiring the same. Shoot, even trucking. Even trucking now, that's safe for now, but they've been testing out driverless trucks. They've been testing it out. As soon as they figure that thing out, oh yeah, because owners, they just want to make their money. They don't have to pay that trucker $100,000 a year. So the thing is, do for self. We need businesses created, and we need businesses created. I mean, and that's the thing. We can't expect other people, and we shouldn't expect other people to take care of us. All right? So I want y'all to think about that. Think about what you can do. And there's nothing that's too small. All right? So you know the deal. Let's go make some money.